Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the Tanchjim Origin, and these are my Honest Audiophile Impressions. I want to thank Awesome Danny for providing the Tanchjim Origin for a review. Do greatly appreciate it. Awesome Danny, you rock. If you haven't already, please check out Awesome Danny's YouTube page. There will be a link somewhere on the screen and down in the description for Awesome Danny's YouTube page. And if you haven't already subscribed, give him a subscription and tell him I sent you. So the Tanchjim Origin, this will set you back $260 from your bank account. It has a 10mm DMT dual magnetic dual cavity dynamic driver, 16 ohms of impedance, 126 decibels of sensitivity, and a frequency response range of 20 Hz to 48 kHz. The Tanchjim Origin comes in this white box, and you get some branding on the front, a little picture, and you get some specs on the back side. It's a pretty typical Tanchjim unboxing experience, so I'm not going to even open the box and show you. But we will show you some of the accessories that you get, which include this white carrying case. It says Tanchjim here on the front. Flips open, and you have a nice big huge area for the Origin to sit. There is no pocket for accessories. And it snaps closed. It's hard shell. It's definitely going to protect the Origin, but at the same time, it's a little bit big for a pocket, but it should fit fairly easily inside a bag. Other accessories that you get two types of tips, and you get your pretty much standard olive grape shaped tip, which has a narrow bore, and which is called the base tip, and then you get these treble enhancing or wide bore tips. They're a little bit more shallow, and I found that the tips definitely made a difference. The treble tips and the wide bore tip definitely enhanced the uppers slightly, added in a little bit more air and space to the sound stage, but you lost some of the bass impact, especially in the mid bass. The bass enhancing ones added in a little bit more fullness to the mids, a little bit more impactful mid bass, and then the uppers were not as extended as they are with the wide bore tip, and the soundstage was a little bit smaller. Unfortunately, neither one of those pairs of stock tips worked for me. I could not get a good seal and fit with them, so I had to go use sonic foam tips, which I'll put a link somewhere here on the screen. And then you get tuning filters. A very, very small bar that holds the tuning filters, very easy to lose. And the tuning filters come in 3 different tunings: standard, dynamic, and light. Doesn't matter what they're called. I did not hear a difference between any of them at all. I tried them all extensively, listened to them, changed them, listened to them, changed them over and over and over again, and I never heard a difference. They did absolutely nothing. If maybe somebody else can hear something, but I did not hear a difference. It's if there's something there, it's so subtle that I wasn't able to perceive it. Standard, dynamic, and light. So I just left it with the standard tip. And then you get the old Origin. So the Origin comes with a nice cable. It's pretty much the same cable that comes on all Tanchjims these days, and it has okay ear hooks. I do wish that in this case it had a little bit more tension in the ear hooks. Connects with 2-pin. A nice split with a cinch that actually stays in place, and then it terminates into a 3.5. Overall, the cable is nice and lightweight, and it feels good. Has good control. Does get a little bit tangled at times when you're unraveling things, but for the most part it stays pretty well controlled. The shells of the Origin are nice. They're made of metal. On the left ear it says Origin, and then on the right ear you have the Tanchjim logo. Very nice looking. They are fingerprint magnets, and they're a little bit thick, and they are extremely heavy. These are very heavy, which is why I kind of wish that they had a little bit more tension in the ear hooks. Here's where you would change your filter. They just spin on and off. I'm not going to do it as I don't want to lose one of the filters. And then as you can see here on the back, it has a step up design. It does not have ergonomics. It's smooth and very small from where the step comes down, and that's going to make it so it doesn't fit the best, at least for my ears. Now, I do think that this is going to be an issue for some. For others, it probably won't matter, but for my ears, I definitely had issues, and that's the reason why I had to go with foam tips. I found that foam tips helped to support the Origin slightly. I also noticed that changing the cable and getting something that has a little bit more rigid and robust ear hooks helped also. But putting them in and really mashing them in held them in place, kind of. Over time, though, as I'm listening, they just start to kind of loosen, and the weight of the shells pulls down, forcing that nozzle to kind of push up on my ear canal, and they just become very uncomfortable. I can only wear the Origins for about a half hour, even with foam tips in, before they become uncomfortable and I have to take a break. They are not the most comfortable, and they just don't fit me very well. With the silicone tips, I did not get a seal at all because they were constantly pulling out of my ears, and I couldn't wear them with the silicone tips. I did find that the foam tips sounded very similar to the bass enhanced tip, and that was the tip I preferred anyways. So the comfort of them is not very good. The seal of them and isolation of outside noises isn't very good either. I was rather surprised, even with foam tips, how much I could hear around me. They muffle things slightly, maybe 50% of outside noises being blocked. I can carry on conversations with them in my ears, and also anything loud, vacuum cleaners, coffee grinders, carpet cleaners, vehicles, loud TVs, things like that, you can definitely hear. It does not do a very good job of isolating outside noises. So the build of them is nice, feels quality, and I have no problems whatsoever thinking that these will last forever and that they could easily withstand daily use. But they're heavy and they're weirdly designed in the shape of them, and they just don't fit me. The Tanchjim Origin is really easy to drive. I had no problems on any source gear, dongles, DAPs, desktop, everything drove it very easily with minimal movement on the volume dial. No problems whatsoever getting the Tanchjim Origin loud. And also, it was very easily driven. Amazingly, even with higher output impedance devices, it didn't hiss. It didn't have any reactions to it in a bad way. It responds well to more power, and it scales that way. One thing of note, the Origin is a little bit fussy when it comes to the reproduction of your source. So something that's a little bit warmer is going to definitely sound a little bit more pleasurable and is going to be a little bit more engaging sounding. Things that are analytical, cold, or sterile leaning are going to make the Tanchjim Origin be a little forthright and a little bit aggressive in its presentation, and it definitely was not near as pleasurable. How does the Tanchjim Origin sound? The Tanchjim Origin, the bass of it is pleasurable. It's more mid-bass focused than sub-bass. There's a little bit of sub-bass, and when it's called upon, you might get just a little hint of rumble and grumble, but it's not a very engaging type of sub-bass, so to speak. Mid-bass is where you're going to get most of your impact, punch, and slam, and the upper bass has just a little bit, but does stay controlled and does not bleed into the mids. But this is not really a heavy-hitting, hard-hitting type of bass. It's not really going to just engage you and thump you and make you be an air drummer. It's not really that type of bass. This is more of, I'm doing what I need to do, and I'm doing my job, and I'm giving you all the information, and I'm doing it well, but I'm not going to really sit here and smile and, make you want to really join me. This is a bass that's very much here are the details, and here is the quality in it, but it's not really about the quantity. And it has enough to keep things going without sounding boring, but it's not going to be an emphatic drive it home type of bass. Tone and timbre is very nice in the bass, very accurate and true sounding, and the details and resolution is actually really good. It's very, very detailed and nicely controlled throughout. Had no issues with it becoming jumbled and confused and mumbled up and stuff on busier bass tracks. It does a good job in quality, not very much quantity at all. The mids. The mids are slightly forward, especially in the uppers. They can at times become a little bit shouty in the upper mid-range. They have a little bit of forthrightness to them, especially on colder, more sterile, analytical leaning sources. It'll be a little bit bitey and edgy up top. But for the most part, the mids have a nice and natural tone to them, and a nice way of separating out instruments and vocalists, giving them each their own little space and allowing them to shine without being in competition with each other for attention. They have nice note weight and a good amount of air and space, and overall the details and resolution in the mids is very well. It's just that slight uptick in the uppers, in which can kind of give a little edgy, bitey, crispy, too much of it at times, and they'll get a little bit on the shouty side, and they are prone to sibilance. The treble of the Tanchjim Origin extends nicely. There's good air and space. There's a little bit of bite and an edge, and in the lower treble it does have a little bit more of an emphatic presentation. Can get just a little bit on the hot side and be a little bit forthright depending on the source that you're using and tips. But overall, just like the mids and the bass, it has nice natural tone and timbre, and it does a good job with details and resolution. And I find that for the most part, it is very pleasurable depending on the source that you're using. The Tanchjim Origin soundstage is actually really good. I was rather impressed at how nicely it is presented, small, medium, and large, and even gets grand. And it does it very effortlessly. It'll just change on the fly from track to track. You can go, that was a very small, intimate, and cozy type of presentation, and then, oh wow, we're in this big auditorium and it's nice and wide. And it does a good job of portraying the differences in venues. Also does a good job with its presentation of imaging. Things go across the stage from side to side very effortlessly, and you can click on it and go, whoop, there it goes. It's tracking it, and you can follow them. You can follow individual things, and it does a nice job of being precise and locked on. Also, it does a very good job with depth. There's a nice look into the stage, several rows. You can dissect things very well. And also it does a good job with layering. When there's a lot of things going on in the stage, it doesn't get muddled and confused and throw everything together into a big ball. It keeps it all separated out, and they are very balanced and cohesive. It does a nice job of portraying stages and all the inner workings of what's going on. And you can go, that's on over here, that's over there. Oh, they swapped, they moved. It does a really good job of presenting things from wide to small, and then tracking things from side to side and in and out. The tone and timbre of the Tanchjim Origin is very natural. I found even with the elevations in the upper mids, it doesn't really become artificial sounding. Every now and then, certain instruments in the strings and brass and woodwinds that have higher reaches in the octaves will sound just a twinge unnatural, but it was very few and far between occurrences. And I found that the tone and timbre is very natural sounding. It has a nice amount of note weight and a good balance between warmth and being too much. It has a very nice tone and timbre. And then detail retrieval and resolution. Just like the soundstage impressed me, the details and resolution really impressed me. I was surprised at how much information I got, and there were times of going, oh wow, I haven't heard that in a while, or wow, have I ever heard that before? So it does a good job of bringing in details and then resolving it. There's not a lot of harshness, glariness, and glassiness. Every now and then in the upper mids and lower treble region, it can be just a little bit on the harsh side, at times, but it's few and far between. So the Tanchjim Origin. Yeah, I like it quite a bit. I was rather impressed by the Tanchjim Origin. And how does it compare to the Moondrop Kato? So the Moondrop Kato is something that also is somewhat heavy, and I find that it's way more comfortable to wear than the Tanchjim Origin. The Kato fits my ears and doesn't wobble around, and I don't have to wear foam tips in order to keep it secure. I find that the Tanchjim Origin just is not near as comfortable as the Kato, and the Kato just kind of fits for me. Fingerprint magnets, just like the Origin. But sonically, the Kato is slightly warmer, and it does have a little bit more emphasis in the bass. It has a little bit more impact and slam, and it has a little bit more warmth throughout. The note weight is just a little bit heavier and a little bit more dense. The upper mids and lower treble regions are not quite as emphatic as they are on the Tanchjim Origin. I find that the Moondrop Kato is a little better controlled there and is not as prone to sibilance as the Origin is. And then the treble is extended out nicely, and there's good air and space, and it does not have those tendencies to be a little bit hot like the Origin. Soundstage wise, it's not near as wide as the Origin, and it does have good depth and layering, and it is not quite as detailed and resolving as the Origin, but the Kato is a little bit more pleasurable to listen to. So, Tanchjim Origin. Yeah, I like this. I like it a lot, but $260. It's not the most comfortable, and it has filters which really are pretty much useless, in my opinion. They did not offer any differences, and the only thing that you really could do with the filters is maybe try them on other gear and see if they make a difference. Maybe add your own different foams, see if you can make a difference. So if you want to tweak it, but coming at $260 for the price, it's good, but in my opinion, it's overpriced because you don't have nice comfort, and you also don't have tuning filters that work. If the Tanchjim Origin was more in line with the same price of the Moondrop Kato, then I would be able to recommend it more easily. But if you really want a Tanchjim and you really want what is one of their best sounding tunings, especially the tunings that I've heard, then yeah, if you're okay with spending $260. But honestly, just stick with the Moondrop Kato. It's a little bit more pleasurable listening, even though it's not quite as technical in its abilities. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on screen, subscription links and notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video, and check out all the links down below. There's all kinds of information on there regarding how you can contact the channel, follow the channel, support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, I want to thank my supporters through Patreon and YouTube memberships. Thank you very much for all that you provide to the channel. It is much appreciated. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can do it through various ways. One-time gifts, PayPal, Venmo, and also YouTube options are available. And then monthly options through Patreon and YouTube memberships. You can get access to videos early, and also you can get access to my private Discord server. All you have to do is ask, and several other benefits. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, whether monthly or on a one-time basis, it would be greatly appreciated. Please check out the links. Also, don't forget to go over to Awesome Danny's channel and check him out. And if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, give him a subscription. Tell him I sent you. And then there's all kinds of other links down below, all kinds of information down here, gear recommendations, music recommendations, all kinds of stuff listed down below. And lastly, don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.